Hello guys, welcome back. My name is Nathan, and today I'm going to be picking 10 different NHL players to watch during the 2020 NHL playoffs. Now this year's Stanley Cup playoffs are definitely going to be interesting. With 24 different teams battling it out for the Stanley Cup, we have even more amazing stories and interesting players in this 2020 NHL playoffs. So, who do I see as the best stories and the most interesting players to look out for in these 2020 NHL playoffs? Watch till the end for all my picks and rankings, and of course, hit that big red subscribe button for more videos just like this one. Now we're going to start with the first NHL player to watch heading into these Stanley Cup playoffs. I have Carey Price of the Montreal Canadiens. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of his past few seasons, this year sporting a 909 save percentage in 58 games, but the plain and simple truth is, when he is on his game, he is one of the best goalies out there. Just in his last playoffs, he had a 933 save percentage in 6 games, was just amazing. And I think if Carey Price gets hot again, the Montreal Canadiens could have a chance. I mean, especially versus the Pittsburgh Penguins, I think the Montreal Canadiens have a chance. I don't know if I like those odds, but I think the Montreal Canadiens are a team that is going to have to rely on Carey Price once again, but that's a player that with the added rest he has could be as scary as ever. Now, do I think Carey Price is actually going to rekindle his 2015 self and dominate? Probably not. But that's still a player that with the added rest could be really, really dangerous. Again, when he is on top of his game, he is arguably the best goaltender out there. The Montreal Canadiens will have to rely on Carey Price, but Carey Price has a chance to go far in these playoffs. It is absolutely wide open, and I don't see him messing up that chance at age 32. Now going on to my second player to watch in these 2020 NHL playoffs, I have Connor McDavid of the Edmonton Oilers. Now you could put Leon Draisaitl in this spot as well, and it's kind of a joint one together because both of these guys, when healthy, are the best duo in the NHL right now. And Connor McDavid is a guy that playoffs-wise has deserved to go to the playoffs more than he has. The Edmonton Oilers have just been inept over his time there. But back in 2017, the year where he made the playoffs, he played 13 games, got 9 points, and was overall very good. So just seeing Connor McDavid in the playoffs alone is absolutely fantastic. They'll be facing off against the Chicago Blackhawks, and honestly, I think that McDavid and Draisaitl pairing is going to absolutely light up that defense. And McDavid, a guy who hasn't seen the playoffs too much this career, I don't think is going to waste it. They might not beat the Chicago Blackhawks, but I don't think Connor McDavid is going to be the reason why. Now going into my third player to watch in these upcoming Stanley Cup playoffs, I have Colorado Avalanche rookie defenseman Cale Makar. Now, just to be clear here, I prefer Quinn Hughes slightly in the Calder race, but Cale Makar is a guy that I'm just a little bit more fascinated to see in these playoffs. And the only real reason is because of what he did in the playoffs last year. In 10 games, he got 6 points, and those were his first 10 games in the NHL. And seeing how well he did with the Colorado Avalanche this year, that's a player who already has 10 games of playoff experience. That's a player who I think is going to be great for Colorado once again. Super young, mobile defenseman, a guy who I think is going to get a ton of minutes for Colorado, might not be playing in their shutdown role, but a guy who I think will lead that offense in the playoffs. Again, I don't know how far Colorado is going to go. I think St. Louis maybe has a better chance to get into the Cup final, but I think Cale Makar is going to be a guy that once again leads Colorado and is a supreme offensive guy for them heading into these playoffs. Now going on to my fourth player to watch heading into these Stanley Cup playoffs, I have Pittsburgh Penguins injured star Jake Guentzel. Now, Jake Guentzel is a guy that will be ready for the playoffs and I think could be a big difference maker. Was well over a point per game heading into his injured break, and now with the added rest, I think is a guy that could do some major damage. Just looking at his playoff history, which I didn't realize was this good, got 21 points in 25 games in the Stanley Cup winning year in 2017 as a rookie, and then in 2018 in the playoffs got 21 points in 12 games. Now let's just forget the 1 point in 4 games against the Islanders, and hey, it looks pretty awesome. So adding that kind of superpower to the Pittsburgh Penguins already makes up for something that, as we touched on earlier, for Carey Price is going to be pretty difficult to work with. Now going on to my 5th player to watch in these upcoming playoffs, I have Vancouver Canucks goaltender Jacob Markstrom. Now Markstrom had a solid year all things considered, 43 games played and a 9-18 save percentage, and I think Markstrom will have to be even better if the Canucks want to go far in these playoffs. He is a huge part of that team, and against Minnesota, I don't see them pushing much of an offensive threat, but I think if Vancouver wants to, I don't know, get in the second round or something this year, Markstrom is going to need to be even better. To me, that is a goaltender that I'm fascinated to see in the playoffs. His first time in the playoffs, by the way. That'll be a player who will be on the spotlight 100%, and I think will be either the sink or the swim for the Canucks. Now going on to my 6th player to watch in the 2020 NHL playoffs, now going to Arizona Coyotes forward Taylor Hall. Now there's a couple other players who I'm fascinated to see on Arizona, like Darcy Kemper, like Phil Kessel, but Taylor Hall is the most interesting to me because he's only gone to the playoffs once with New Jersey in 2018, and now is his chance to actually make a big impact, especially with Darcy Kemper healthy and that Arizona team as well, fully healthy. Taylor Hall is a guy that just did not get too comfortable, I thought, with Arizona in his time there. Was fine, but wasn't anything groundbreaking. But now with that added rest, I think that's a guy that could really do wonders. I'm just hoping Arizona is able to get past the qualifying round because I want to see Arizona in those playoffs, baby. For Taylor Hall and all those other players, it's about time. Now going on to my number 7 player to watch in these 2020 playoffs, I have Florida Panthers goaltender Sergei Bobrovsky. Now I'll be one to say that Sergei Bobrovsky had a just bad year, all things considered. Both in save percentage, goals, saved above expected, whatever you want to call it, it was not good. And Sergei Bobrovsky is a guy though that I still think still had a bad year, but has the potential to do some real good with the Florida Panthers. Whether he actually does it, we'll have to wait and see. But I think Sergei Bobrovsky is a guy that, again, when he's on his game, just like a Carey Price, is one of the best goaltenders out there. And I think for the Florida Panthers, they are definitely one of the more interesting teams because that's a team that is kind of weakly matched up against the Islanders, I feel. I think the Islanders are going to do pretty well against them. But Sergei Bobrovsky is going to be a big reason of that. Whether they get past the Islanders or just absolutely flop, Bobrovsky will be counted on. He's being paid $10 million to be a franchise goaltender, and hey man, this might be the only time you make it. Florida making the playoffs doesn't usually happen, so I'm just hoping that Sergei Bobrovsky can actually make the most of what he's given. Now going on to a goal, by the way, that was a big voice crack, don't know if you heard that. Well, now going to a goaltender who actually makes the most of what he's given, going to Winnipeg Jets goaltender Connor Hellebuyck. Now Connor Hellebuyck is a guy that for the Winnipeg Jets will absolutely determine those playoffs, because if you play like he did in this regular season, I think Winnipeg might have a chance to do some good. Now, I think that defense is going to get crammed either way, whether Connor Hellebuyck fails or does amazingly, but Connor Hellebuyck has done amazingly on one of the worst defenses in the NHL, and in my opinion, should be in the running for the Hart Trophy, if not winning it. That's a player that, again, for the Winnipeg Jets, they're going to absolutely have to count on, but if I'm going to bet on any goaltender to do well this year, it's going to be Connor Hellebuyck. Come on. Now going on to my 9th player to watch in these 2020 playoffs, going to my man, the bread man, Artemi Panarin. They should actually make that a song. I would quite like that. But either way, Artemi Panarin is going to be absolutely amazing in these playoffs. And this season, at least in the regular season, played 69 games. Nice. Getting 95 points, which is even nicer. To me, it's between him and Hellebuyck for the Hart Trophy. And Panarin was just an absolute beast throughout these whole regular season. And throughout his career, he has been that way too. This is a playoffs that could be absolutely huge for the Rangers if they use it right. But Panarin is going to be a huge part of that team. I think he's going to do very well versus a team like Carolina, and once again will show why he's one of the best, if not the best winger in the NHL right now. Now going on to my 10th and final player to watch heading into these 2020 playoffs, I have New York Rangers goaltender Igor Shesterkin. Now Shesterkin is a guy that in his brief time in the NHL has just been insane. 12 games played, 10 wins, 2 losses, but a .932 save percentage, and already in those 12 games got a plus 5.9 goals they to have expected, which is just absolutely insane. I think a guy like Shesterkin is going to get the nod for the New York Rangers. Henrik Lundqvist, I think, will be looked at, and even though I would personally start him, give him that farewell tour, I think Shesterkin will be the guy. For how good he was already, that's a player who could be absolutely unbelievable in the playoffs, and he has experience of winning in the KHL, so I think he also has that clutch ability, but has already been so good for the New York Rangers, you might as well give him that shot. But those are my picks for the players to watch heading into these playoffs. Let me know down in the comments down below what you agree and disagree with. Let me know who your #1 player to watch is heading into these playoffs. Also, of course, if you're just watching this video and haven't already, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell. I appreciate it, every single one of y'all who do that. You guys are absolute beasts. Also, if you haven't already, click this card right here to watch all of my rankings videos right in one playlist. Share this video with friends. Get it out there, boys. And I'll see you guys next video or stream. Peace out. I love y'all. Goodbye.